At a time when the global economy is being shaken and international trade is being reshaped, the steps taken by U.S. President Donald Trump are attracting attention. How will these tax moves affect the world economy? While this intriguing development has led markets both in the U.S. and on a global scale to worry, we will be analyzing the dynamics behind the scenes of the trade wars, the economic consequences, and the possible future in the rest of our video.
Some might say it's economic nationalism. I call it common sense.
In January, U.S. President Donald Trump signaled a significant shift in global trade, threatening to impose 10% tariffs on China and 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Although this decision fell far short of the 60% tariff increase Trump had promised during his election campaign, it caused serious tensions in trade relations, especially with China. The U.S. administration's move is expected to cause what could be described as an economic earthquake when evaluated within the framework of trade imbalances, competition policies, and international trade rules. According to warnings, if the tariffs are fully implemented, inflation in the U.S. economy could exceed 7%. This development raises concerns that it could lead to disruptions in global supply chains, a decline in investor confidence, and increased market volatility. The borders of the U.S., China, Canada, and Mexico are at the center of this economic tension. These tensions, both in the U.S.'s relations with its neighboring countries and in its trade relations with China, Asia's economic powerhouse, are reverberating in major markets and financial centers around the world. The Trump administration's threat of tariffs is being felt especially in port cities and trade routes where trade relations between the U.S. and China are intense, while it is also being carefully monitored in strategically important regions bordering Canada and Mexico. Although the tariffs, which were postponed by the countries concerned in response to the U.S. commitment to border security, have provided temporary relief to the economies of the countries, especially those in the North American Free Trade Area, their long-term effects remain uncertain. Trump's move is motivated by the goals of protecting the U.S. economy, supporting the domestic industry, and gaining a competitive advantage in international trade. The trade policy changes, which were frequently mentioned in his election promises, are considered as a strategic move to redefine the U.S.'s global economic position. These tax increases, which are implemented to close the trade deficit with China, increase the competitiveness of the American business world, and support domestic production, are also intended to be used as a balancing factor in trade relations in line with the U.S. foreign policy goals. In relations with Canada and Mexico, the postponement of tariffs in exchange for border security signals the continuation of the dialogue and negotiation process between the parties and is interpreted as an indicator of a complex situation in which economic and political interests are blended. This step is seen as an important milestone in terms of both the political benefits of election promises and efforts to restore balance in global trade. Given the digitalized nature of trade and global supply chains, the planned tariffs will be implemented through various mechanisms. In line with the plan announced by the U.S. Department of Commerce, these duties will play a decisive role in import processes in addition to customs procedures. Electronic declaration systems and international audit mechanisms will be put in place to ensure transparency and accuracy in tax collection. Within the framework of the agreements with Canada and Mexico, the 30-day deferral of duties in case border security commitments are met is considered as an indicator of flexibility in negotiations and implementation. The deeper economic and political dimensions of the tension with China will be carefully monitored during the implementation process, and additional measures and arrangements will be put on the agenda if necessary. International trade rules and institutions such as the World Trade Organization, WTO, are also expected to play a role in the tax implementation process, which is critical to ensure that the measures to be taken are compatible with the global trade system. The main actor in this development is the Trump administration and U.S. President Donald Trump. Senior officials, members of the Economy Ministry, and trade advisors who determine the U.S. trade policies are among other important factors that have a say in the decision. On the Chinese side, central government and foreign trade officials have made statements regarding the tension, emphasizing the international dimension of the issue. On the other hand, the leaders of Canada and Mexico have taken steps to postpone the implementation within the framework of the agreements reached with the U.S. on border security. Each of these actors will play an influential role in reshaping global trade policies by offering different perspectives on both the short and long-term consequences of the event. While trade wars, economic earthquakes, and the threat of inflation have caused uncertainty in global markets, the imposition of tariffs and postponement of tariffs is a major topic of debate in the international arena with its political, economic, and strategic dimensions. This step taken by the U.S. beyond its election paves the way for the establishment of new balances both in the domestic market and in international trade, while signaling that the dialogue and negotiation process between the parties will continue. In this process, where economic indicators and expert analyses are closely monitored, factors such as inflation, investment climate, and consumer confidence will be meticulously monitored by policymakers. The measures to be taken for the future will be decisive in minimizing the effects of trade wars. In the light of unbiased assessments, these developments, which are defined as a critical period for both the U.S. and the global economy, may lead to a reshaping of international trade and significant changes in economic policies in the long run. Our report aims to provide our readers with a comprehensive analysis of all the above-mentioned analyses and explanations, and to convey all dimensions of the developments to our readers. This report, which is presented without compromising the principle of impartiality, will shed light on both market actors and other economic developments on the agenda amid the uncertainty caused by trade wars. Analyses based on expert opinions, market data, and the current state of international trade aim to provide readers with a comprehensive perspective on the issue, while emphasizing that future steps should be carefully monitored. This comprehensive assessment addresses important issues such as economic stabilization, enhancing international cooperation, and restructuring trade relations, while at the same time presenting an unbiased and objective perspective. Taking all these factors into account, the long-term effects of trade wars are expected to lead to significant changes in global economic balances, once again demonstrating the importance of strategic decisions and policies. In this period of increasing economic uncertainty and volatility, international actors keeping the channels of cooperation and dialogue open will mitigate the effects of possible shocks that may be experienced in the markets. Thanks for watching Meka News Presented. For more, you can subscribe and turn on notifications. We look forward to your comments.